Yeah, no, don't focus on that red cross right there. What's up everybody? I'm not Peter McKinnon, so I'm not gonna talk about the best of the best camera gear like the Canon 1DX Mark II and those. But I'm gonna be talking about compact cameras. In particular, this one. This is a Sony RX100 Mark V. I'm not sure if you can say Mark V, but it has a 5. Yeah, it's probably one of the best ones that you can currently get on the market. But I have this one for a month now, and I'm not entirely happy with it, which is why it will probably go back where it came from, which means I'm gonna send it back. And today I will present to you the reasons why. First things first though, this is a highly personal, opinionated review. The camera is great. I admit that this one is like a super good camera. I mean, the things it can do. It can record in 1000 frames per second. That's ridiculous. It has to buffer for that. But even in continuous recording it can do 120 or 100 depending on the format. Pretty good. I mean, this gives you SLR-like quality. I mean, maybe not compared with the 1D, but with the 600D that I'm recording on right now, this one isn't any back on that one. And it had things like autofocus, so yeah, that's helpful. Yeah, so overall I would say this is a great camera. I really like this camera actually, but there are some things that I don't like, and with a price tag of 900 euros, it's still pretty expensive. So let's get started with the flaws of the Sony RX100. I mean, there are gazillion review videos online, on YouTube as well, and I've heard a lot of people complain that the battery is drained very quickly. I would actually not say that. I mean, this battery lasts me for an hour of continuous recording. On the lowest setting, yes, I recorded with 25 frames per second. 1080p. But 1 hour. My old camera didn't manage more than 1 hour either. So I think that's fair. I mean, of course, if you continuously record with 100 frames per second or in 4K, then of course the battery will be drained quickly. But personally for me this wasn't an issue, since I can charge the camera while I'm operating it, so that was not a problem. But let's finally get to the problems I have with this camera. Starting with the little things. Right, so if you turn it on, it takes a while. We already talked about this when I did my unboxing video, but now that I used it for a month, now I can say more about it. The time it needs to turn on is actually not that big of a deal, because usually I know that I am about to record something, and it doesn't really happen that often that I see something and I'm like, whoa, I really need to record this now. So in the past month, that rarely happened. And if I know that something could be about to happen that I want recorded, then I just have the camera on standby out like this. So that's not the problem. But what I found was more of a problem actually, and I didn't think that would happen, is the time it takes to shut down. So if I'm filming with the camera, right? So I'm filming, I'm vlogging, blah 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 blah, I'm saying stuff, and then I need to pack the camera. For instance, because we're at an ultimate game and I'm just recording on the sideline and suddenly they make a point and I need to go back on the line because I'm playing again, then I need to turn off the camera and put it in my bag. But that takes forever, it takes forever, I need to wait, come on camera, and then it's done and then I can put it in my bag. So those are seconds that I'm waiting for it, come on, I need to go on the line. If I'm not quick enough, somebody else will go. That's really annoying. And I don't want to just throw my camera in the bag like this, with, you know, so that was kinda annoying. So the time it takes to shut down is actually more of a problem than the time it takes to start up. I can't help it, I need to always say something positive now. Pictures. Pictures, oh my, look at those blue eyes. This camera takes amazing pictures. With my old one, whenever I took a picture, handheld, it was blurry. And people just, if I give the camera to people to take pictures, they're usually blurry. Didn't happen with this one. All the pictures were pretty good quality, and I mean, man, I mean, this camera is mainly made for taking pictures, I think, and the quality of those is just, it's pure gold. For a compact camera, this is amazing. The only one little thing that I got annoyed at when taking pictures is the self timer. It lets you choose between 10, 5 or 2 seconds and to take, 3 to 5 pictures. Now, let's say I wanted to, take 3 pictures after 2 seconds. I will demonstrate. Look, 1, 2. Did you hear that? Clack, clack, clack. How freaking quickly it took the pictures? When I use the self timer in continuous shooting, what I want is picture, pause, picture, pause. For all the idiots who have to blink or make a stupid face, that they can adjust to that. When I took the team photo, one guy managed to be blinking through all of the 3 pictures. What? I mean, I'm taking 3 pictures and it's not even long enough that some guy can blink in between you. I would just prefer something like this. Picture, 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 picture. That's something I can work with, Picture. But with that, you basically take the same picture 3 times. There's literally no point in using the continuous mode for the self timer. So you have to go back to the camera, start it again, go to your group and hope that they're not blinking this time. I checked, there is no setting that allows a break. There is a setting that allows a break if I use bracket mode, so if I have one with a high illumination, one with a low illumination, one in the middle, then I can take breaks between them. But not with a self timer anymore. But that's a software thing that you could patch that. So there you go, Sony. User experience. That's something I just don't get why you do this. I just don't get it. But as I use the camera mainly for taking videos anyway, let's not get into this too much. So speaking about video, there are several aspects where the Sony is just a lot worse than a Canon, even those cheap ones. First, the zoom. Even those have 30 times zoom. And there again, it is a question of what you use the camera for. But sometimes I thought, it would be nice to zoom further. But the zoom is still the thing that I can say, okay, I don't really need it. It has a bit of zoom, it's alright. The thing that is harder to say, okay, it's fine, is the stabilization. I mean, because I was using Canons, I was kind of spoiled, I guess, because it was just, first few videos I took were super shaky, because the standard image stabilization is just not any good. I mean, it's better than nothing, but not any good. Then I found out that, well, you can change stuff and you can set the steady shot from active to intelligent active. What that does is it narrows the picture a little bit. So instead of this shot, you suddenly get this shot. I feel like I'm too close to the camera now, because my head is touching the upper and my chin is touching the lower, and so to not have it look that weird, I would have to hold the camera further out like this to compensate. But this for my arm is like more of a workout, so I don't see myself vlogging like this for more than 5 minutes, cause then my arm's gonna fall off. And let's be honest, my vlogs are longer than 5 minutes. So first of all, it narrows down my frame, and secondly, it's still not as good as with this one. Yeah, as I said, I'm spoiled, but whenever I edit the videos now, I'm like, this is so shaky. Even though it's not that bad, but it's worse than I'm used to. And for me, this is, I don't want to take a step back. I don't want to have a worse stabilization? Because I mean, I am a vlogger and I usually vlog handheld and while walking and going out and running around and shit. I don't want to have my camera super steady, and I also don't want a stabilizer, like an external thing where I put the camera on. I could do that, of course, but no, because I don't want to carry that around. I want the camera to be able to do that, and those power shots from Canon did that pretty well, and I was so happy with it. Yeah, that is definitely one of the big ones. And then there's the focus story. Now, this camera has a way better autofocus than any of the Canons, but sometimes it still manages to fuck up. In a controlled environment, the autofocus is great. I can, you know, do macro and then go in the distance and it's all fine, it's all nice. But because it uses such a wide aperture, the things in the background get super blurry, which usually is great because it, you know, gives the focus on the main subject. But the problem is if it still doesn't get what the subject is and chooses the wrong thing and then has the wrong thing blurry. Like for instance today, when I was casually eating a carrot in the library, it suddenly focused on the books instead of me. Or another thing, when filming sports like Ultimate Frisbee, everything was super blurry. I don't know why exactly, but it didn't properly realize where the scene is, and so it didn't adjust properly. So my whole shots were kind of blurry. I mean, you could still see what's happening, but it wasn't crisp. And there we can argue that, well, you just used the wrong settings. You just need to turn the aperture down and the shutter speed down, and then everything will be more in focus. Which, granted, yes, is true. I could play around with this. But on the other hand, such a camera is called point and shoot for a reason. I want to point and shoot and not have to adjust the settings every time I record something different. The camera should be intelligent enough to change for that, to adjust for that. And this one did. I mean, this one was a kind of stupid camera. It doesn't have a lot of options, but then it at least chose the right option. With so many options, you fuck up sometimes. And so, you know, a lot of my Ultimate Frisbee footage from the tournament is just unusable because it's not in focus. Yeah, I would have to manually set the settings correctly, that works better. And then of course I would get an even nicer picture. But the question is if I want that. And I don't think I do. I just want to be able to, hey, hold my camera and film this to anyone and not have to first set the settings, and if he wants to film like this, then I need to do that. That's unpractical. So yeah, for my use case, not ideal. Speaking of use cases, sometimes I also want to, you know, show something in the background. I'm here, something in the background over there, and I just point there, and the camera thinks, ah, that's the main subject, so I'm gonna just focus on that guy and have everything else blurry. And then I point there and you don't even see shit what's going on over there because it's just all blurry. So again, you could change it in the settings by turning down the aperture, but you know, it just sometimes I mean, I don't have a problem if I don't stand out that much, and I wouldn't say that I need this. It's not worth it. Now we're really complaining on a high level here, because all of that you can fix. Speaking of things that you can fix, another problem that I had with this camera was wind performance. Even with just a little bit of wind that I didn't even properly feel, the camera picked it up like so much. Fuck man. That the whole recording had to be thrown away. I mean, I couldn't even hear. I had to lip read what I was saying. So yeah, there are some recordings were just useless, even with the wind filter turned on. I know that can easily be fixed by putting something on the mics, you know, I didn't do that because I wasn't yet sure if I actually keep the camera, so I didn't want to stick stuff on it. That's just something that you have to be aware of. But yeah, it can be fixed. And since we're already speaking about the microphones, finally, the big one. The reason why I'm gonna send this one back. Few words on the microphones. I did a sound check today and I compared the microphone of the Sony RX100 to my old Canon SX700. Right, so that was the sound check comparison between the Canon SX700 HS and the Sony RX100 5. And after the first test, I was like, holy fuck, the Canon sounds a lot better. Sony was just super high and just sounded like it had a low pass filter on it. And then after I did the test and I was so unhappy with this, I realized it actually has a low pass filter on it, because I actually had the wind noise reduction set to on, and to reduce the wind it just cuts off the lower frequencies apparently. So I had to do the test again with the noise reduction set to off, and I did, and it performed a lot better. This time both cameras are equal because the wind noise reduction is not turned on anymore. Yeah, okay. Right, so let's test the thing on the Sony. The Sony now performs differently. The Sony now also has the deep sounds and the music sounds better. The Canon, I don't know, is it too deep-ish, too not clean enough? I have the feeling that the Canon is not as clean as the Sony. So for most, noise tests, they were, comparable. Also with the music, but then I did a test where I was speaking super quietly and suddenly the Canon just performed better than the Sony. I don't even hear myself whistling, it's quite quiet. And I still think that the main reason for this is that those microphones point in my direction, whereas those point just upwards. And this just makes such a huge difference. Here you had the feeling that you're listening to me. With this one, you were listening to everything and you were also hearing me. When I was listening to it with my headphones on, I was like, that still sounds better. Even if the overall quality might actually be worse from the microphone, but it feels a lot nicer because you hear me better. And that is just essentially what I need from my camera. It needs to listen to me. I say it every time in every review that the microphone is the essential thing when it comes to a vlogging camera. If you prioritize taking pictures and don't put a nice microphone in the camera, then I don't want to use it for vlogging. Because for vlogging, the single most important thing is the microphone. And as none of those allow for an external microphone, the built-in microphone must do. So that was the moment where I was like, okay, this one, it just performs better. And then there was a second instance where I was just like, yeah, still prefer this microphone. And that was when, at the end, I just turned the music on even more. You hear it in the recording that this camera just turns back, has the whole recording more quiet, whereas this couldn't do it anymore, and it was you heard the peak more or less. You hear that it's too loud for the camera. My neighbors must love me if I do those microphone tests. There you really don't want to listen to that anymore. If you hear that sort of thing, then it's like, the microphones just can't deal with it. You might want to record at, say, festivals. I recorded at festivals with this one and I was pretty happy with the resulting quality. So as soon as it's loud, this one just can't handle it anymore, whereas this one still can. I found a guy who is selling this very camera, well actually the successor, the 710 HS, for 90 euros, including shipping costs. And I was like, hey guy, can I have that camera? I pay you immediately. And I already gave him the money, and I hope to receive that camera in the next few days so that I go back to one of those again. They're not produced anymore, but they have so nice microphones pointing to me. I hope that this time I won't break it like, you know, the last two, at least not as quickly. And yeah, that's why this one can go back, and I will send it back and get my money back. I mean, I get one of those for less than the price I paid for the insurance for this. At some point Amazon really will block my account or something if I continue to order cameras and then send them back after using them for 3 weeks. But as long as that's not the case, I can continue with that. But no, now I mean, this it is the best camera that you can get currently. But also 900 euros versus 90 euros is just too much of a difference, so we swap back from this one to one of those. So that was my problems of the Sony RX100 5 video. I hope that it was kinda helpful or somewhat entertaining for you. I don't know why you watched this. I hope that I could give you some tips. As I said, the camera is great. If you have it, I would stay with this camera, no problem. It's a really good camera. It's just also expensive. Let's say goodbye. This is one last recording just for you. Dear Sony RX100, it was very nice to play with you for a month. But now your journey shall continue. I hope that you find someone else that will use you like I would. But I'm very sorry that it can't be me who will play with you. It is always sad to say goodbye, but at some point I just have to. Make your backup. Thanks for being my camera, even if it was just for a few weeks.